Now that it looks like Judge Kavanaugh is going to be confirmed, the question is, what is the impact of this process that's unfolded in front of the country in the midterm elections coming up in November? I believe it could be and will be absolutely pivotal. I think that the key thing here is that very rarely is there an event in the news that transcends the news coverage and goes directly to the voters themselves. A catastrophe like a hurricane or a 9/11, of course, is an example. But the Kavanaugh hearings, because they were watched by so many people, and the accusations, because they ring with varying degrees of truth or falsity in each of our lives, really are an example of something that goes beyond the traditional news and enters right into the minds of each voter. And what they've seen now is the true face of the Democratic Party. The face of it in Christine Beasley Ford, the face of it in the demonstrators outside, in the tactics the Democrats used, in their endless delaying of this process, compared to the relatively significant and dignified judicial presentation that Kavanaugh himself made, and except for once, Trump basically staying out of the line of fire. And that really is, I think, creating a fundamental change in the attitude toward this year's election. People are writing about a backlash, but I think that it's far more than that. The Republican Party's image, for example, is now 1 point more favorable than that of the Democratic Party, something that hasn't happened in more than a decade. The percentage of people who say they're going to vote Republican as opposed to Democrat in the generic ballot has now closed to a 2-point Democratic advantage, having previously been 10 to 14 points. In all kinds of areas, there is a real emerging sense of Republican gains and Republican momentum. And that's because people have seen what the Democratic Party is. And the Republicans should adjust their Senate campaigns to take account of it. In state after state, we have these well-known senators who've served for many years, Tester in Montana, McCaskill in Missouri, Heidkamp in North Dakota, Donnelly in Indiana, Nelson in Florida. And for many, many years, in some cases decades, they presented an image of being moderate, responsible Democratic senators to the voters. But now these crazies from the left are coming in and taking over the Democratic Party, forcing these candidates to the left and putting on a face and an image that is so contrasting with the image these senators want to present as to seem to be completely a different party. And the Republicans need to exploit that. They need to run this campaign and saying, it isn't good old Senator Tester who's running again, or good old Senator Nelson. This is a new party taken over by the radicals, the crazies, the special interests, and the people that put all dignity aside and make this process incredibly inflammatory. Much in the sense as Nixon did in '72, running against the anti-war protesters and demonstrators instead of against his Democratic opponent. I think that this is going to be very successful, and I think the Republican Party has to move away from its defense of its own record posture, no matter how good that record has been, and instead move over to the offense in attacking the face and the capture of the new Democratic Party. Thanks for watching.